All are doing well today. I'm super delighted to be here. And today, let's discuss economy. Let's discuss um, the future of real estate investment in Lagos. And I'm just coming from one of our sites today, and what has been happening in the Nigerian economy has been so disturbing, and this is why I actually wanted us to to have this discussion today. And the question is there really hope, or what exactly is the impact? So in case you're coming across this, please do well to share this live broadcast with friends and families. Let everybody be aware that we are live, and then we'll be talking the economy. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that has been following us. Let's discuss the impact. Let us talk about the significant things that have been happening in Lagos. So, in case you are coming across this channel, I want to say a very big thank you. So, do well to share this broadcast with people, and let's talk about inflation. Let's talk about how these has been affecting the economy, and let us also look at the contributions, and of course applaud the real estate development companies that have in these difficult situations they've been able to offer value despite the fact that a whole lot of things is happening in our community. So on today's episode, let's talk about the impact of inflation. Let's talk about, in fact, this is not like every other episode. This is actually a present situation report that is happening, and this is very important that we discuss. So let's talk about impact. Let's talk about inflation, and in discussing this, I will be looking at some important things, okay, that we need to look at. For everybody that has been following, in case you are seeing this live for the first time, please do well to double tap like so that the algorithms can share. Kindly open this door a little for. Thank you very much for following, and let's start. So Nigeria, I believe many of us can relate, with the present situations, and this is very challenging. You can't plug anything, please. You can't plug anything. It's inverter. So let's just quickly look at this, and what do we need to do, to avert situations like this, and look at the contributions. Now, the inflation has had more of negative impact. It's not just on real estate; it's on every sector of the economy. Everybody can, categorically tell you that they are bearing, the negative impact of inflation. This is more or less like um, a situation that no one foresaw, and it is not a situation that is pleasant. And this obviously has affected every sector. It's not just the economy alone. It's not just the agriculture. But the reason why I'm discussing real estate is just due to the fact that real estate has been, my own major area of concentration. I've been a real estate, an active real estate professional for some years now, and I can tell you what is happening. And this obviously is not something, and what must be done, to avert um, situations like this. Okay, sorry, I want to just swap. My network is currently misbehaving. Go are visible now. So let's discuss that very quickly. In case you are on this live, do well to subscribe if you're seeing us. So, what exactly is the impact of inflation, and what exactly do real estate investors need to do? Now, the inflation has affected the industry. Um, they've been in some of the sites that we have seen. Basically, inflation has drastically affected the value of properties, the quality of service delivery, and obviously, if this should persist, my fear basically is that real estate investments will certainly be, above the reach of the middle class. And there's been a general assumption proven with statistical data that as from 2030, 2050, that a whole lot of people will not be able to afford real estate in Nigeria. And from all indications, this assertion proves to be very, very positive, very, very affirmative. And what we're going to do basically is that we're going to look at some of the basic things that has affected inflation in Nigeria, and we are going to discuss some of those things. Now, let's look in the area of those who are presently undergoing building projects. When they talk about building projects, most of those off-plan projects, most of those sites and services, let's start by examining the cost of building material. In one of my videos, I've said it several times that I've also been actively involved in the process of trying to know what is the actual value or the cost of building materials. Now, of course, if you have been exploited by some notable artisans, if you have been cheated, okay, if you have bought a property and you have been swindled, you will know that it is very important that there is obviously no response, in the sense that there are no indicators if this issue of inflation will be resolved. There is obviously no indicator or a beacon of hope that situations like this may be resolved as soon as possible. Now, the thing basically is that what is happening is that, hold on, I have a question here. Let's look at the basic fundamental things that concerns inflation, and let's look at what needs to be done. Now, inflation is a thing that has affected every sector. Like I said, the economy, the infrastructures, and the likes. Hold on, please. So let's talk about this. Basically, a bag of cement, as at several months ago, was sold for 8,000. Now, for some of the people that were majorly active in the construction sector, for those people bought it for 8,000, in other places 8,500. And there used to be a situation whereby a truck of sand, depending on, we have different kind of sand. We have the mud sand, we have the sharp sand. The sharp sand is based on, number one, the kind of sand that is needed for importing, the sand from. These are one of the basic things that we put into consideration, when they are choosing or they are fixing a price for sand filling. So basically that for some of real estate investors who are investing on the island, those who have bought properties on the island, you will agree with me that some part of the island needs to be sand filled. So sand filling basically is a big business on the island. And the price of sand as at last year, used to be within the price range of 80,000 per truck, 90,000 per trip. Now, that same truck of sand right now is being sold for 150,000 naira as I'm talking to you right now. So you really want to look at that as a major factor of the increase in the purchase of sand. And there's no way we talk about construction where sand will be overestimated. That's number one. Then number two, you also want to look at the situation of iron rod. Iron rod have it 1 ton, 2 tons, 3 tons, and different places where iron rod was being sold. As at few months ago, a truck of iron rod, a ton of iron rod sold for, last year, I think we purchased iron rod 1 ton for 800,000, 500,000 in some places. Remember, I told you that what determines the prices is, number one, the location which they are transporting this thing from. Then number two, your supplier. Now we have so many dealers, okay, that determines or that supplies things. Now prices varies based on, number one, maybe the kind of relationship you have with your dealer, and of course some things that are part of it. So you obviously want to look at that very quickly. So iron rod, just I think mid this year, iron rod sold for 1.1 million, which was actually the highest. And as I'm talking to you presently, that same iron rod is being sold in some places 1.4, another places 1.5. That is it. There are other building materials that have increased, but because of my time, I won't be able to give you details of how these things are. But it is very imperative, okay, that we look at some of these things and we're able to emphasize and explain it the way they are. So that is the cost of iron rod. Now, obviously, this has had several implications on real estate. And the thing basically is that I know some real estate development companies right now who have completely shut down operations. I know some real estate development company right now who started off-plan project, and they are finding it extremely difficult to deliver. Now, I've explained some circumstances and some situations that there are events that happens, okay, where some of these things were unpredictable. But for some of us who have had dealings, for some of us who are highly experienced in this industry, you will agree with me that the cost of building material right now has forced so many real estate companies out of the business. Now, if you see anyone, okay, who is building apartments, who is building duplexes, I want you to investigate further. I think the person basically, or the developer that might be doing project right now, okay, must have secured maybe a loan, or must have secured partnership from friends and associates. So it has affected it. Now, what is the cost? Now, you would understand, number one, it's going to affect people building springing up. They are struggling, and from that record, we have 6,000 housing deficits, and this obviously has affected the cost. Now, with the reduced of projects, I know some real estate development companies that they can launch before the end of the year 2, 3, 4, 5, multiple projects. As I'm talking to you right now, that has drastically reduced. That is it. So, number one, inflation has reduced, okay, the rates at which developers are building houses. Number two, it has increased house rent for some of our people that reside on the island. Some people will have received a notification from their landlord, okay. Bedroom apartment in Lekki phase 1 is currently selling for some places 130, some places 120, and some places 140. What has happened? Inflation. So the cost of building and the cost of buying has gone higher. It has gone even beyond the affordable. Welcome. Yes, the network Welcome. Yes, the network was doing its worst, and we're out. You can get me. So I was talking about the cost of infrastructure. Now, what is the way forward? What do we need to do to salvage this kind of situation? Now, I've said it before that the first thing you want to do is that you want to study the situation. Studying the situation will help you to understand how best you should tackle the industry, how best you should enter the industry, and the kind of investment that you will do, okay, that will not turn out to be what? To be a disaster. Now, let me quickly explain that everybody is feeling this inflation. I want to start by acknowledging this. Everybody is feeling this inflation, and it is not something that a lot of people anticipated. However, we also need to understand that if you are entering or you are investing in the real estate market, whosoever choice of property that you want to buy or acquire, this is where you now need to study the situation and know or identify the real estate developers that have intelligently managed the situation. I'm going to say it again. Now, with the growing level of inflation, a lot of companies have been out of business. A lot of companies have been stalled, okay, in developing or providing the infrastructures that they said they were going to provide. That does not mean that, yes, the inflation has affected some, or it has affected all. However, there are some companies who foresaw this situation and have made adequate plan on how to scale through, even in the area of what? Delivering. So what I'm saying in essence is that despite the fact, okay, that there is inflation, some real estate development companies are still delivering, only for the fact that their level of delivery may not be, as anticipated that you have expected. So if you want to invest in real estate, you need to study how real estate companies are managing that inflation. You want to do that so that if you are investing with a real estate developer, and you have this full assurance that the developer is going to manage the situation and it will not affect the value and the delivery and everything you have paid for. And that's why sometimes I've advised several times, and I'm going to advise again, that it is very critical, it is very crucial, okay, that you do what? That you study companies even in this turbulent time. Study performance. Analyze the brand. Do a critical survey of their services. In fact, if you can even take time, okay, to visit some of their sites, even without announcing. I do this a lot, okay? I've been, the reason why I will come online and I will tell you that some people have done this. I'm not saying most of these things because of assumptions. There are proofs, there are evidences to support my claim and to support the point I'm making online. So if I should tell you, okay, this is what some people have done, this is what they are doing. If I tell you, okay, fine, I've seen their delivery is, is up to date, their delivery is standard. I'm not saying this because I want to talk. I'm saying this because I have obvious evidences to support my claim. So what you must now do in this sector is that you don't invest with everybody. You want to carefully analyze the strength and the financial capacity of the company. Now, the reason why you have to do this is because as this situation continues to get more intense, a lot of companies will be wide off the scene. because if you get to a point that most of these guys will not be able to cope, and this is why profiling comes in. You do a profiling, you study, even the network of that company. You want to study that as well. Now, the reason why you have to study the network basically is that the network, and of course their standard is is the assurance that these guys will be able to do what? Will be able to survive. You want to do that so that you won't begin to get stories. Now, some people are beginning to, even before the situation of the inflation got to this point that it was, a lot of people have been hiding under the umbrella of inflation, and they have not been delivering as at when due. Now let's look at the situations of some companies in Lagos. And the reason why I can say this basically is that, I've said it before, I talking to you, I'm also a victim. I've jumped at offers that always made me, that always made me suffer. Let me use the word of his esteemed Realtor Collins. So I'm giving you offer so that you will not suffer. So I jumped into. Now, the reason why I am saying this basically is that the performance and the track record of the developer is of utmost importance in this turbulent time. Because number one, some companies will not be able to put infrastructures. Some will struggle to buy cement. Some will struggle to pay labor. Now, kindly bear in mind that it is not just the prices of materials that is going up. The cost of labor is also appreciating as well. So the strength and the capacity of the real estate development company is also something you must not ignore. Now, before the inflation era started, before things began to unravel, we have seen instances of real estate development company selling large acres of land, and that's why sometimes I'm not a fan of every company. I'm online, so I have to say this, and I know majority of them are watching me. I'm not a fan of every company. More importantly, if you're a company that you don't deliver, we can never have any kind of engagement. We can't even have a conversation. That's the thing. We can't. It's not pride, because your interest as an investor is my own utmost. If I've had dealings with you once and you fail to deliver, I won't even discuss it with you. Because at this point, our job, we are not just realtors, we are not just advisors, we are protecting our investors. More importantly, those who work multiple jobs who raise these funds. So the Ibeju Lekki situation, 2018, 2017, 2030, I know a respectable colleague of mine, Mr. Mustafa, made mention of this in his video yesterday, and I'm going to repeat it. Everything they have said is true. I'm affirming it. And the reason why I'll say that, in fact, I think I've been making these statements several times, but I believe Mr. Rabiu summoned the courage to nail the the thing basically is that it's not our job to come online and say this is a company that has fucked up, this is a company that has failed to deliver. It's not our job, it's not our responsibility, but it's our responsibility to protect you. And that's why sometimes when people come to me and say, I want to buy this property, there's this buy 5 get 1 free, my job is not to say buy or not buy. My job basically is to analyze some of the basic things you may tend to lose. Now, a lot of people have talked to me, okay, what about Ibadan? A lot of people are buying properties in Ibadan. Now, the question I gave is that, are you buying properties because other people are buying, or you are buying because you have a purpose for the purchase? And sometimes I've also come to realize that a lot of real estate investors get easily carried away, by the talk of this is the next big thing, this is the next big thing. So you really want to understand why and things that happened. Now, with this growing level of inflation, it is so certain that a lot of real estate companies will definitely want to survive. A lot of people will pry on, or we pray, on innocent investors by selling fake properties or by selling properties that they intend to abandon. And this is why it's very important that we explain some of these things so that you can rest assured. Our job basically is not for you to tell you buy this. Oh, our job basically is for us to expose and explain, some basic things to you, so that you can look at these things and make your own decision. I've seen instances whereby some people have said, okay, what do you think I should do? In fact, a lot of people have, openly come to me and tell me this is what they want to buy. This is what do you feel? What do you feel? I've even had instances whereby after giving your advices, some of these investors will still go back and tell those people, you going back to tell your oppressor that this person said this person said this, misinterpreting your professional advice, and that person sees you as an enemy that does not want him to progress. And the long and short of everything basically is that same company will end up disappointing the person, and they want to come back. Now, for some of real estate investors who have done this, I sincerely, see your pain, and we hope you don't experience that kind of thing again. So in this inflation economy, many people will want to survive, and people will go to any length. What I'm trying to say is that developers will try to sell anything just to survive these harsh economic conditions. And this is why you have to be careful. See, if you have been doing due diligence before, if you have been very, very careful, what I would say is that you need to intensify it. Now, this is not the time where you randomly select a property online. This is a time whereby you need to be 100% certain that what you are buying is not a waste. Now, a lot of people don't understand basically that when we are talking about property in Lagos, we are in Lagos, we are in Nigeria. There are some things we see that we cannot come online to say it. There are some personal experiences that we have had, that when we see people making mistake in that direction, now because of the fact that we cannot openly, admit or say things, does not mean we don't know what is going on. So you have to, this is a decision where you have to be careful. And let me say this is not the best time to buy because of price. Now, the reason why a lot of people today have bought wrong investments is due to the fact that they have prioritized price over quality, over security, over assurance, and over what? Over good return. Now, when a real estate developer is saying that if you buy this property for 2 million and in 3 months or in 6 months, you are going to sell it for 5 million, 8 million, you need to understand that these are part of the marketing strategies that is being used to attract you as an investor. Now, when they tell you that you can buy it for 2 million and in less than 6 months, you can sell for 5 or 8 million, then the question you need to understand, or the question you need to ask whosoever is giving you that statistical data, is that, okay, fine, what exactly are you guys going to do on that property that will guarantee that level of appreciation? Now, that is where a lot of real estate investors miss it, because when they tell you appreciation or figures, what they are giving you are not realistic figures. They are what we call audio figure or imaginary figure, because you see, most of those projected return on the investment will not materialize because of the fact that these guys will not put all the necessary infrastructures that would ensure you get the best out of it. And with even this current rate of inflation, a lot of companies will drop standard, because right now the focus will not now be on delivering quality. The focus will now be on survival. Now, let me quickly state this. I'm not saying all real estate companies in Nigeria are doing that. No. But for companies that are just starting up, or for companies that have mismanaged, because let me quickly say this online, a lot of real estate development companies have sold properties to investors and they've mismanaged the funds. I need to let you know, a lot of developers have sold, they have mismanaged. In fact, when you come to Lekki Club on Friday, for some of, I'm not saying you should club. If you know some of those real estate developers, some club at Qlux, some club at all these companies, all these hotels and nightclubs, if you see what some of them are doing with your money, then you will know that you see, when they talk about conscience in this Nigeria, some people don't have it. So it's not just the reason why some are struggling, it's not just based on the fact that there's inflation. The reason why some are struggling is due to mismanagement, buying what they don't need. And a lot of them did not anticipate a situations like this, and that is why they are affected. Or like they say, many of them did not save and plan for situations like this. So they'll say they did not save for the rainy day. And now that it's raining, a lot of them are drenched. So you want to look at that realistically. So that's why sometimes if I get inquiries, if I get explanation from people, I'm not always eager to say buy this, buy this. I don't do that. I will just make my own recommendations and then probably leave you in the best decision to make your choice. So that is it. So inflation has affected projects. Inflation has affected delivery. Inflation has affected so many things. Inflation has affected pricing, and inflation have also affected the rates, okay, at which companies are delivering on what they promised. All right, so sorry about that. That's my daughter. So what will not be? So there is always an escape route, an exit strategy, and a plan to dupe people. And that is why sometimes I've said this before, that if you are investing, endeavor you get a capable person to do this. I'm going to say it again. If you are investing, endeavor, okay, to get a capable hands to do what? To handle your investment. Now, recently we have decided to add more lawyers to our team, and because of the fact that we are foreseeing this, and there are some things we expect. And you know, in this industry, you don't wait for evil to happen. You plan ahead, because for some of my colleagues who will not come online to explain some of the misdeed that some companies have done, some of their mischievous activities, we have planned for situations like this. And that is why we have lawyers, we have surveyors, we have professionals that are always at our beck and call whenever we have situations like this. So these are some of the things that we need to accurately discuss and look at that very quickly. So at this juncture, I'm going to pause for questions, and we'll see how fast and how well we can go between the limited time. So I'll be rounding off this live session in the next 15 minutes. So I'm going to pause and take questions, contributions, and before we call it a day. Good afternoon, ma. Good afternoon. So sorry about the network, Nigerian network sometimes, but we promise to do better. And of course, I thank God that it is stable now, and then we can be able to have this. So let's look at the impact of inflation. Number one, inflation has separated the boys from the men. Now, there are those who entered the industry in anticipation that the industry is the real estate industry. I'm talking about the industry. I want to also believe I'm talking about the real estate industry. So they entered the industry because it is profitable. Now, a lot of people who did not understand, see, when it comes to surviving this inflation, your knowledge of economics, your knowledge of financial management, your knowledge of investments, funds, and risk management is very critical. When I was talking about profiling and choosing the brand you should work with, a lot of people did not understand that our situation is right now. Some people have planned ahead of this. Now, I'm not saying that we should anticipate evil or pray that situations like this will get worse. What I'm saying in essence basically is that even if the situation continues to heighten and become worse, I can tell you that some people will still survive. Now, what is now the difference between people that will survive and people that will not? Is in the area of what? Management. Now, when it comes to management, I can categorically say this, that not everybody have the gift of management. Not everybody have the ability to foresee and save for the raining day. I can tell you that even some companies have a 10 years, a 15 years survival plan, even if the inflation continues to bite harder. So I would say most of these people understand that political instability and economic policies can happen. Now, what is now the difference, okay, between someone that will survive and someone that will struggle? It's still the same thing, management. Now, when we talk about profiling the real estate developer, doing, an accurate assessment of the brand, a lot of people do not understand that your investment that you have bought, having access to that investment, whether it is land, whether it is house, is solely dependent on what? The brand. Now, it's quite unfortunate that the way some real estate development companies have structured their company, okay, the way they are managing their companies, the way they are managing their effect, the way they are managing their finances, you can tell from experience that most of these developers may not survive 2 years if this situation continues to bite harder. So, and that is why it is very important that you carefully do your brand analysis before you make an investment decision. Okay, so let's go to the question. So this person says, so when exactly is the right time to invest? Because I'm thinking of waiting until the situation solidify. Okay, that's not a good approach. That is not, because I was also waiting for the situation, to cool down as is. If the government will find a way to resolve some of these challenges, but found out things are keep going higher and higher. And there's something about the real estate industry. Number one, it is highly profitable. What Lagos State Real Estate Company will give you in 6 months, in 1 year, other locations may not even give you in 10 years. I'm not trying to undermine the importance of other locations. However, I'm just trying to explain, okay, the situation of things for us to, accurately understand what is going on. So you cannot talk about investment and not talk about Lagos and not talk about some of the things that are there. So you want to look at this very quickly and talk about it as quick as possible. So these are some of the something. These are some of the things you need to look at. So when you are buying, don't wait. If you can afford, and if you are going into off plan, if you are doing an off plan project, please and please, the minimum payment plan you should do because of this situation is 6 months. I remember I've said you can do 1 year, and if you are entering any off plan project, endeavor to confirm, okay, if the developer have the financial capacity to confirm it. Now, it's not like you will say, okay, Mr. Developer, can you complete this house? It sounds a little bit somehow, but there's an intelligent way to ask questions, and that is why you have professional. In fact, they've been instances, okay, several instances whereby I have personally gone to site on Sunday after church. They've been instances whereby I've gone as far, okay, as interviewing people that are working on sites. So if a developer is working and if there will be delay on that project, maybe on that building project, I will tell you I can actually tell you, I've had, interactions, and there's something I've done, successfully over the short over for some time now. And what is that? I've been able to create an enabling environment even with workers of other companies. So I've seen instances whereby some companies, despite the fact that they're collecting millions from investors, they are still underpaying their workers on site. They are underpaying, the working conditions are terrible, and that explains the reason why some off-plan projects. So everything is not just about the cost of building materials. The welfare of some of these workers, that work for these guys, are not adequately. So that explains the reason why there are some, notable cases of delays. So you want to look at that and then look at this as quick as possible. So these are some of the things that you want to look at when you're doing that. So, and this is where we come in. This is where we come in. Now, we are not just realtors, but we are experienced. We understand the economy, we understand the people, and we understand how to, protect your investments. And with the situation of things right now, before I can say buy this project, you can be rest assured that a lot of investigations have gone way further, to the point that we can tell you this is what is going on. So these are some of the things you want to look at. These are some of the things you definitely want to put into consideration when you are doing off-plan projects. So this question says, do you suggest we start investing now? In as much as fact that the developers have probably passed your own yardstick of being reputable, being reliable, and there are not tendencies that there will be issues if you can invest as soon as possible. Because you see, the situation is that we honestly don't know what will go on. But for some of us who have delayed in anticipation that things will get better, things haven't got better. I have to be as realistic as possible. Things haven't got better. We're only hoping that it gets better as soon as possible. So that is the situation. So don't delay. Okay, this question says, the real network, is there plan for the real network to get to Abramadesanya? Yes, according to the notable information we have and some interactions we've had recently, there is a plan for the real network to get to the island. Of course, the coastal road, they said there will be provision for train to pass the coastal road, but what we cannot confirm is when it will start. At the moment, a lot of people are saying there is a rail from Mile 2 down to Yanoba. That's a lie. There is no rail connecting Mile 2 to Yanoba. The rail is from Mile 2 to Alaba, okay, to CMS. I think the farthest the rail can go is CMS. So and that is why it is very you see, when people want to pitch something to you, they will tell you things you need to hear and lies just to convince you. So I was there last week. Though there is a construction, there is a plan to extend the rail to Yanoba, even to as far as Badagry, but at the moment the rail network is only coming from Mile 2 down to CMS. Other regions will be connected. Of course, the one at Oyingbo 2 is active, so we'll be giving you information as time. And this is one of the reasons why you should also prioritize investment in Lagos. And this is due to the fact that this project, okay, will make investment to be more or less like an high cake or an high pitch. So you want to look at that as well. Thank you very much. This is the farthest I'll be able to go today. So I want to say I want to appreciate everybody that joined us. This is very, very, we appreciate this. Thank you very much. God bless you. For those who are joining, okay, I think I can take like 2 more questions. I have 2 more questions here. Okay. Okay, for those who want to send their questions, you can do well to send it to me on WhatsApp. Okay, and by God's grace, we're going to have this tomorrow. Though our live session is actually stated for Tuesdays and Thursdays, but because of some situation of things, I have allocation on Thursday, I have movement on Friday. So instead of waiting till Thursday, we're gonna have it tomorrow by God's grace, and of course, we're discussing other important matters. Thank you very much. I want to appreciate everybody that have joined us. See you guys tomorrow. God bless you. Bye for now.